So people have been asking me to read this book, and here we are again. So thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. And I trust you'll enjoy reading or enjoy listening as much as I enjoyed writing this book for you. So we begin on the next section here. Next chapter is called Pain and Pleasure. There comes a point when pain starts to override the pleasure, where we hit a crossroads in our life and have to make that hard choice. This decision can set the tone for the rest of our days. Either we triumph over the trial, or we cave in to the cravings. I remember when I would go to Walmart, there would be these two soups that I would constantly consume. This spicy red pepper tomato soup and this other soup that was like a creamy legume. It was kind of like a vegan broth. This period is what I like to call the soup seduction era. Soup seduction. Seduced, right? How do we get seduced by soup? What you eat frequently becomes your frequency. I grew up in Spiceland. What I mean by that is, in my adolescence, I had become the spice king among my family and friends. Jalapenos, habaneros, ghost peppers didn't faze me as much as the average person. My tolerance level for spices was pretty much through the roof. I can only assume that my youth and daily exercise helped to slightly offset the effects of these stimulants. So having said this, even when I was learning the ways of being liquidarian, I had trouble with temperance. I would take cayenne pepper and lemon pepper, and I would shake it all up in this soup, basically sprinkling tons of seasoning all around the soup broth. As if the soup wasn't salty enough or didn't have enough sodium content for my taste buds. You can see how addiction can take many different forms. Those starter soups were my drug of choice as I was coming back on the path, appeasing my inner obsession with sense gratification. My daily self-administered over-the-counter drugs. Nowadays, it is ginger and juices that has replaced this obsession. But even that will start to lessen eventually. All in divine timing, and I am in no rush. During these soup seduction sessions, I would stand up suddenly and have a fearful sensation. I would be struck by the thought of panic and paranoia, asking myself, what did I just do to my body? I knew subconsciously that I had been feeding this habit and that it felt insatiable. This craving for taste, for pleasure, for comfort, and for fullness. I had to realize that this was all in my mind. But it was tough because I desired it. It was like taking a deep dive into your own psyche, analyzing your many triggers. You will naturally begin to see what is unnecessary. You see what luxuries, once tasted, become necessities in the mind. Somehow, this particular dish had become something that you fantasize about all day long. You think about it, you dream about it. You're thinking, when can I have more of that? Or you're plotting and scheming. As soon as I get home, as soon as I get off of work, as soon as I stop doing this, I'm gonna go grab another one. Eventually, this led to the nagging feeling of, when am I going to finally be free of this? When am I going to finally move on from this? You start to feel a hopelessness if your will is not strong. And it is easy to slide back if you don't have the right guidance. Looking back, I often see one or two scenarios. I see one scenario where I had to plow through the pain. It was pleasure, 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 pleasure every day. The ritual and routine of buying soup, preparing it, having it home, then the next day having it again and again and again and again. Finally, the point arrives where you have one too many. And you feel that sensation of intense pain. The headache, the nausea, or the gargantuan grogginess. Your body is pleading with you for mercy. It is begging you to stop this senseless indulgence. It is screaming, no more, no more. That's when the best choices can be made, the most profound transformations. At those points of desperation and despair, do you want to continue this pain for the pleasure? Do you want to endure the endless cycle of chaos? Unless the perceived pleasure is a better life, of a better life is strong, it will not be enough motivation for change. Once the pain finally wins the day, that's when you can truly turn around. It is not the only way, mind you, but it sure makes a difference. You have a moment of clarity, a spark of enlightenment that makes way for a glimmer of hope. You say to yourself, this is not fun anymore. This is hurting me. I don't feel good. I feel like the day is wasted. I'm hunched over. I'm nauseous. I'm sleeping my life away, recovering from this. Feels like I'm barely functioning. I can't even do the things that I want to do or even need to do. Why do I persist? It gets old after a while. Elitam El-Amin would tell us the same things happened to him in his journey. There were times, he said, when I was with those avocados and Fritos that I was stuck, he would say. But now there's no way in the world that I want to go back. I know what an avocado tastes like. I outgrew it, like a kid playing with a toy. Now I don't like the way that it makes me feel. It is a feeling state. I would go home and I would write in my journal during times of temptation. Today, when I reflect on those writings, it feels like such a victory. Out of victimhood and into pranahood. I would venture into a grocery store, stand next to the soup, seeing myself in the aisle with my hand on the soup, contemplating. Then I would put it back on the shelf and just do some slow breathing. I would back away slowly, head out to my car in the parking lot, and I sat there for 5 minutes and just breathed. Then, feeling at ease, I drove away and left. I'm so thankful I had the foresight to write these moments down in my journal. I can say today that it was my higher self doing it. My higher self always believed in me. My higher self never doubted. I'm proud of you, Jerome. Just to be able to go into the store and walk out without having bought anything was a huge victory at that time. As time went on, I was able to repeat this again. I was able to resist again. I was able to triumph again. And sooner or later, it feels as though you are no longer resisting. You're not even thinking about it anymore. The soup is no longer in your mind. You no longer have these invisible, energetic cords pulling you into those unhealthy aisles at the grocery store. You are no longer tethered by these strings of addiction. You are no longer playing the puppet like Pinocchio, being pulled this way and that. You are no longer being controlled by pleasure. Every day is still a self-discovery of what feels good, what doesn't feel good, and how far you can stretch, how far you can dial it back. Like a rubber band. We stretch a little bit more, then we pull it back again. Like yoga, you're becoming more flexible with yourself. You get stronger and you last longer. These are the discoveries that you have for yourself on the journey. It's revealing in every way possible. You start to see where happiness really comes from and what you truly need. Now, at the end of this chapter, there's a quote by Keisha Shahav. The quote says, "I never really liked food, you know? Like my parents would get so frustrated with me and forced me to eat because they wanted me to live. So they kept putting in my head that food is what makes you live. So I'm like, this is silly. If the only thing that depends on me living is just food, then that's a little bit difficult, because what if, like I'm deprived of food or whatever? So I felt powerless. If I'm putting all my abilities and power into food sustaining me, it has to be much more than that. So when I discovered energy and just, being with plants, being with the sun, being with the air, being in the ocean, and exercising and this kind of stuff, this is the true energy that sustains us much more than just food." Keisha Shahav. Rewards through repetition. Here is a secret to pranic living. This is also a secret to life, to plenitude, to work ethic, and to success in anything that you aspire to do in life. It is called reaping the rewards of repetition. The secret is simply this: everything works if you work it. Think about that for a second. Everything works if you work it. Many people have given up because they thought they were doing the wrong things, when in actuality, they were doing the right things. They just did not keep doing them. There is much power in persistence. Consistency in this path means to keep going. Persistency means to push through and persevere. To heal through hurdles and ascend through the adversities. To overcome the obstacles and turn stumbling blocks into stepping stones. Can you keep going despite all of the odds? Can you vow to not give up on yourself, even when it feels like nothing is working? Even when you lack the motivation? We hear about the fabled race between the tortoise and the hare. The legend says the tortoise won the race because it just kept going. That was it, and that was all. It wasn't magic. It wasn't talent. It wasn't giftedness. It just kept going. Confucius says, "It does not matter how quickly or how slowly you go, as long as you do not stop." This is the power of persistence, and it is so simplistic that many insist that it must be complex. Our minds love to make things complicated. As human beings, we love to turn simple things into something difficult. We crave a challenge. Being a video gamer for years, I can attest to this. It has been a craving of mine as well. One that led me to making things much harder on myself. We rebuke things that sound or seem too easy, as though simplicity is a sign of deceit. But just because it is simple doesn't always make it easy. It's not always easy to find magic in something that seems so mundane. However, if you love something, would you mind doing it multiple times? If you truly loved it, would it still feel like work? One of my mentors, Shayna Dean, said, whatever it is that you love to do, keep doing it. She talked about the great meditating saints of the world, like Paramahansa Yogananda, learning that when he was young, he loved meditation so much that he used to hide in the closet and meditate. He would literally go off into solitude and sneak in meditations. Can you believe it? This is because he loved and enjoyed the energy that much. It was so blissful that there was no room for anything else. He didn't desire to do anything else. All he wanted to do was meditate, meditate, meditate. What was the consequence of that consciousness? What were the accomplishments of this activity? What was the reward for his repetition? Well, for one thing, we know him today. We know his name and how this gave him power. He was able to do marvelous things, magical things, majestic things, mystical things. Things like bilocation, being in two places at once. Can you imagine achieving the impossible through nothing more than your consistency and repetition? For a moment, just imagine being able to dematerialize and materialize your body at will. To be able to teleport and to travel the world at will without needing a plane ticket. To be able to levitate or even bilocate your body, allowing you to be in two places at once. Imagine all these things came through the power and consistency of daily meditation. Seem too far-fetched? Try reading the autobiography of a yogi, or even try reading the life and teaching of the Masters of the Far East by Baird T. Spalding. You'd be absolutely amazed at what our bodies can do when we have realized our full potential. Elitam Elamine would tell us often that food freedom, or the ability to live without eating, is a minor power. In the grand scheme of things, it isn't even half of what we are capable of. The problem is we are distracted, and it's only getting worse. Another one of my friends, Jesse Tree, said to me, shout out to Jesse, "What you do may seem insignificant, but it is significant that you do it. So whatever it is that you do, continue to do it. Realize that many small things equal big things in the end. Whether it's yoga, exercise, meditation, breath work, qigong, reiki, energy cultivation, do the thing that lights you up inside. Do what puts you in that energy field of abundance. The thing that puts you in that energy field of being whole, being complete, and being fulfilled. Continue to do it consistently, and you will reap the rewards of repetition." The subconscious mind absolutely loves repetition. It loves things done continuously so much so that it can take effort to deviate away from these mental patterns. When we exercise new mental muscles, sometimes it feels like tough work because we have already created grooves and patterns. The current path has already been paved in our neural networks. Seeing things that are etched into our minds take time to redirect, to find a new course, and to find a new sense of direction. But as we know, the neurons that fire together wire together. When the neurons are no longer firing together, slowly they start to uncouple, untether, and come undone. This means that fate is only what you make. You are not destined to feel like a failure. You are not destined to even be a success. You are not destined to be anything but your own design. That is the power of your mind and the power of what you choose to do with your own precious time. Choose to create your day the way you like it. Truly, so much difference can be made in a day. It is our days that make up our weeks. These turn into months that turn into years. Don't let what you're fearing keep you from steering yourself in a new direction. Don't let doubt of possible failure be your deception. There's something within you that wants to continue down the path that you have started. Otherwise, you wouldn't be reading this book right now, would you? Start to specialize in what speaks to you. And you will magnetize all the things that you think are beyond you. Soon, you start to find these things are actually within you. You're chiseling them out like a master sculptor, knocking on the marble and bringing your vision to light. Designing yourself takes time. But you've got the time, don't you? You've got the persistence, don't you? You've got the power, don't you? Do you not? You've got all that you need within you now. That was an affirmation I used to tell myself. All that I need is within me now. All that I need is within me now. All that I need is within me now. I used to say that over and over again. I said that in Vipassana. I said that in my mind when I was walking because we were in noble silence, right? I'd be like, all I need is within me now. All I need is within me now. All I need is within me now. I would bang my chest and say it. I would say, all power, all the world's power and strength rest inside me. I am more than I appear to be, right? I say so many affirmations to myself. You know, I benefit by being Breatharian. I'm a powerful pranic being. You know, like, power of fasting is long lasting. You know, it feels good to fast. Like, I'm achieving my goals by fasting. I'm like, all this stuff I was talking about, but I was just speaking those loving words to myself over and over and over again. But that was definitely one of them. And then the other one was, all is well. Out of this situation, only good can come. I am safe. Yeah. But all I need is within me now. That was something I said probably hundreds of times. All I need is within me. Kept doing it. The rewards of repetition are yours for the reaping. The consciousness it creates is yours for the keeping. And at the end of the chapter, we have a quote by Megan Gerbert. It says, I have noticed along this journey that I am less and less hungry. It's so interesting. Definitely not something I ever expected to experience. But you know, I mean, compared to what I ate previously, I ate very, very little, especially when I'm meditating. There's definitely a link, you know, between like meditation or breath work or any type of energy practice and how much you need to consume. Because I feel that I get energy from another place or another source, and it just sustains me throughout the day. Now, maybe I can't totally sustain myself yet, but just by that fact alone, just having that experience that it can sustain you a little bit and satiate you a little bit gives me faith and just the belief that over time that will only grow. Megan Gerber. Nourished by nature. I recently saw a correlation between raising your vibration and road share. I used to drive for Lyft on the side for many years, and I enjoyed taking passengers to and from their different destinations. Yeah. I ended up doing over 2,000 rides, having wonderful conversations with people from everywhere across the nation. The Lyft app would have so many different rewards and achievements that you get for driving passengers. Different things would unlock due to your frequency. One of the incentives was a tier list. You would go from silver to gold to platinum tier based on the amount of driving you did. When you finally got to platinum tier, so many attributes are awarded for your ascension. You'd get free memberships, free roadside assistance, and the ability to pick and choose the rides that you wanted. You'd also get what they call priority mode, where the app will literally focus on you for a certain amount of time and give you exclusivity for nearby passengers. They made you feel like you had earned the right to have this privilege or to have this preference. This is similar in the path of being self-sustained. When there is so much to give, there's so much to gain. What starts to happen when we raise our vibration is simultaneously we elevate our station with the universe. You can call it the one song, the one source, or the all that is. This force starts to recognize us for all that we did. Now it appears that we have a preference from the celestial Pranic congregation, a prioritization from the Breatharian council, so to speak. Nature has recognized you for your courage and valiant efforts, for your detachment power, awakening dormant abilities. I remember hearing that from the monks and nuns. That's what they called it, detachment power. That's what they called it. You start seeing the signs when you become more aligned. The feeling of being nourished, of being at ease around trees, and of seeing life differently. The sun rays feel like your friend again. You are nourished in nature. You are nourished by nature. You realize now you are part of it all, part of the whole cosmos, a divine union of body, spirit, and soul. It is a wonderful feeling that is revealing the moment we truly start healing. When nature stands by your side, life becomes a wonderful ride. At the end here, we have a quote from Maria, and Maria says, "My inspiration when it comes to pranic living is related to the recognition of myself as a spirit, as unlimited energy, as the source of the universe and creation itself. And from that place, each time practicing, whether fasting or living solely by it for some time, seeing how I recognize myself as that pure energy where I don't depend on anything else. I'm just here, part of everything part of me." So really from that deep understanding, feeling that everything is bringing me nutrients, everything is bringing me a source of food per se, and feeling outside a little bit of my whole being, and feeling from the outside some energy coming. But of course, there is a source of energy, because outside is just the manifestation of within. But if we want something as the source, something as the big picture, we must start within. Maria. I think her Instagram handle is something like Enchantress of Hearts or Enchantress of Love. Shout out to Maria. I remember our conversation. The power of inspiration. There's a saying that all it takes to light one candle, or all it takes is one candle to light a whole room. The candle never needs to dim another candle's light to shine bright. They shine even brighter together. There was a time where I was all about learning the art of roller skating. Week after week, I would go every Wednesday to this roller skating rink in Austin, Texas. I remember seeing a man there one day who really inspired me. During this time, I felt as though I was developing in so many different ways, but it felt like there was always another level to reach. There was a man who was actually a bug exterminator for houses on his off days that would come into the roller rink at night. Every Wednesday, he would cut loose, letting go all of his stress and roller skate his very best. Just watching his moves was like an event. He made roller skating really look like an art form. It was as though I was watching a master at work, perfecting his craft, perfecting his skills, polishing his style. It was all in the form of play, with a sort of free-flowing and effortless way. He would balance himself precariously on one foot, and then suddenly switch to the other foot, doing seemingly impossible stunts on his roller skates. I felt an inner challenge, as though his innovation was encouraging me to go further, letting me know there was more to explore, more to see, and more to learn. With all the twists and turns, he was showing me what mastery looks like. So as a result, it became my aim to level up my game, to let go of outside judgment and be able to be free to truly be me. I feel the same passion for pranic living. With the energy we're constantly giving, Whenever you come in contact with someone, especially physical contact, when you can see them in your eyes, how they operate, how they maneuver throughout the matrix, when you can see the makeup of someone's mind in their movements, when you notice they are intentional about self-improvement, it really starts to level you up in life. It shows you that there's always more in store, that there's always another lesson, and there are so many more blessings to receive. It is all based on what you believe and perceive. That is what determines the heights you achieve. Who is someone in your life that opens your mind, that makes you wonder what things could be like? Find someone who inspires you to aspire for higher attainments. Also, never underestimate the power to inspire. This is a power that we all have inside, and it makes this life an even more wonderful ride. Inspiration doesn't just have to come from one person. Inspiration can also be cultivated and fueled through fellowship. Fellowship simply means friendly association, especially with like-minded people who share your interest. When I did my first Pranic retreat back in January of 2020, it was a time of great fellowship. All 8 of us were playing Tetris with our bodies in that one little room. But every day, we were on the path together. Every day, we got better and better. We weren't just there for transformation, but we were there for the energy. We were just there. We were just there for fulfillment. But we were there for the fellowship. We weren't just there for fulfillment, we were there for the fellowship. We weren't just there for the secrets, we were there for the synergy. Had it not been for the synergy, I don't know what I would have stayed, if I would have stayed on my path as much as I did at that time. When you are in complete harmony with a group, things can change very quickly. Life gets magnified in a magical way, and manifestation comes more easily. At a certain point, your body shifts. Something clicks. Something sticks. And a whole new world is opened up to you. Because you've been with these people, feeling the togetherness of the community, you grow even faster. Everyone is on one accord. Of course, everyone has different upbringings, different beliefs, different perceptions, different philosophies, but they're all here for a purpose. Human evolution, the expansion of consciousness, and breaking old patterns. Just by you being there, hand in hand, you cannot help but expand. Even during periods I thought I might quit my dry fast, I would be urged subconsciously by the group to keep going. You start to realize that something within you wants you to continue. Something inside you wants to evolve. But will you listen and answer the call? So getting around a group of individuals who are heading where you are heading, who are doing what you are doing, and who are feeling the same feelings that you might be feeling yourself, divine encounters, kindred spirits. This is the power of fellowship. Proximity is powerful with the right group of people. They say that we are the average sum of the 5 individuals we spend the most of our time with. So if you spend your time with certain individuals for an extended amount, either you rub off on them or they rub off on you. It usually happens this way. Having this congregation inspires more elevation. It helps us push past our inner fears. Everyone has insecurities that they may hide or never speak about with others. We don't always want to go beyond to find freedom on the other side of the fog. However, our faith can be built through fellowship. Sooner or later, you're now letting go of the doubts and making room for the trust. you are putting trust in your own ambition, your own fire, your own desire. You are burning and yearning for more conscious learning. Even if you feel like you're a misfit at first, you can light the match within yourself to fuel your vision, allowing you to be that much more consistent in your calling. Sometimes it is hard to persevere through isolation, but it is easier to do so in the right vibration. There's an African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, meet me, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. This means that teamwork truly makes the dream work. Believe deep down that there's no habit you can't beat. There's no belief you cannot break. There's no step you cannot take. And there is no progress you cannot make. The meaning of mentorship. This chapter begins with a quote from Elitam Elamine. My son went to a 3-day retreat with me. No eating or drinking. And we were doing hands-on. We were in the Canary Islands. Now, of course, he couldn't make it the first day, but he hung in there. But when he learned about Qigong, and I kept on saying, energy is the foundation, he started doing it every single day, twice a day. Now, at first, we were doing it together, but then he left me and went somewhere else to go do it. But anyway, I had an 11-day treat coming up, an 11-day retreat. He went through it with flying colors. Now he went 2 months working on his energy. He did. He stayed consistent for 2 months. And when we did that 11-day retreat, he went through it all with no eating or drinking and said, this makes sense now. I got it. Elitam Elamine. Just like Socrates was to Plato, or like Plato was to Aristotle, like so many people throughout history that we know today, where would they have been without a guide? Where would they have been without a teacher or a mentor, without someone to show them the way? You think of Bruce Lee talking about the finger pointing to the moon. If you focus on the finger, you will miss the moon and miss all that heavenly glory. I remember hearing that Bruce Lee once also said that a teacher is never a giver of truth. They are a guide, a pointer to the truth each student must find for themselves. This is illustrating the importance of a mentor and someone to point the way, a way shower on our path of ascension. Ultimately, each student must find their own answers, must answer their own questions. But it doesn't mean that we can't receive a little help along the way, even if it reminds you to go back inside, back where your true power always resides. I recall being in Sedona, Arizona with Elitam Elamine and Shayna Dean. I had been at these retreats before, doing similar meet and greets, but I was always glad for the riches I gained from the mentorship. These many nuggets and gems we glean from our guides. People like Elitam and Shayna have a presence that feels like medicine. The longer that you get around these people, the more you reap the benefits. The longer you listen to the Pranic message, the more it changes you. It shapes you and reframes your realm of reality. Even when you read a brilliant book, it is like another type of treasure trove. That's what it felt like when I read Hilton Hotema's Man's Higher Consciousness. It was like I was being mentored by the man himself. My mind was being stretched, never again to return to its original dimensions. I remember another one of my mentors, Rocky Chari, shout out to Rocky. who said something magical. It was like she opened a portal to another plane of existence just by saying these words. Wouldn't it be nice? These 4 magic words were able to open her up to totally new possibilities. Even if others thought she had gone insane, she was able to marvel in the majesty of what others might have found mundane. She stood firm on the foundation of freedom from food. She never once doubted that there could be more to life than mindlessly eating the day away. Thus, she was able to endure trials that would agonize the average macho man that cannot go a day without filling their bodies. Think of how many people suffer when they don't eat. What if you could flip that around? What if you could change the very thing that people say has always remained the same? Natural human instinct. Yet, is eating food truly our natural human instinct? To cram and consume as we have been told? To stuff ourselves till we grow old? Or is pranic living something that has always been possible? There's an old Chinese proverb that says, to know the road ahead, ask those coming back. Because when you get around someone who has been around the Breatharian block, you're able to have their energy rub off on you. They elevate you and push you towards your own enlightenment. They are able to show you the potholes that they might have hit before. You are able to learn from their mistakes, from their mishaps, from their misfortune, and from misadventures. It is all a journey, and everyone must walk their own. Even if you have the same view at the peak of the mountain, you can take a completely different side. But wouldn't it be nice if you didn't have to go through so much suffering? Could there be an easier way to traverse the trail? Perfection is not very relatable to most human beings. But when we share our vulnerabilities, we resonate with each other. When you listen to somebody's stories, it brings a lot of things down to earth. Deep down, you know what is true. And yet it's good to receive confirmation. It is good to know you're not crazy. The teaching of Wu Wei in Taoism taught me that there is an effortless action in life. This is how I feel when I get around those who are the action takers, those brave ones who are the movers and shakers. When you get around someone who's been there and done that, someone who is still going, still growing, still glowing and flowing in life, despite downfalls, despite disappointments, despite setbacks and pitfalls, it really rubs off on you. Another one of those people has actually been Nabiha. Most people know of her as Prophetess Nabiha on Instagram. She has been a constant role model for those on the path, including me. The way she lives her life is like no one else I've ever encountered. It is easy to envy her nonchalance in the chaos of consumption. She is so detached from the common addictions that plague the masses. I will let her tell her own story, but when she first shared it with me, I was fascinated. Some people you meet in life, and you just know there's a reason. You just know you were destined to come together for reasons beyond your understanding. Nabiha is one of those people for me. So I encourage you, more than just a practitioner, go find a great mentor. Find someone who has done what you are attempting. Find someone you admire. Listen to the words they have to say. They could change your life in every way. And we'll go ahead and conclude there for right now. This has been Breatharian Beginnings, a book that I wrote a little while ago this year that I published here for you. And just thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much again for listening. I trust you received an encouraging word, an empowering word, an enlightening word, something to enthuse you, to amuse you, or to lead you on the path to your own self-discovery. Of course, you don't have to take everything like the word is like set in stone or anything. Just take what serves you, right? Leave what no longer deserves you. Pick up the best and leave all of the rest, right? The more we invest, we earn compound interest. We feel so much more blessed and a lot less stressed. So much love, my friend. This has been Jerome Shaw on the Pranic Pages. That is the playlist on YouTube. You can check that out. It's called Pranic Pages. And for all things Pranic Living, for the energy that's giving, you can check out our website we have for you. It's called patreon.com/pranicpath. Tons of audios, videos, and reading material for your pleasure. Much love. Always a treasure. Once again, that website for you is patreon.com/pranicpath. See you soon. Stay in tune.